Hi folks, HR Funk here. With a new for 2024 offering from European American Armory of Cocoa, Florida and Girsan of Turkey, what I have here is a Girsan MC14 BDA, which follows the classic lines and classic design of the Browning BDA 380 that a lot of us remember from years ago. In fact, in the first police department where I worked after getting out of the Marine Corps, there was a sergeant who had a BDA 380, and I remember it was one of the nicest looking handguns that I ever remember seeing. In this video, I'm going to be going over the Girsan version of that handgun. I'll tell you about all of its features and functions here in the shop, and then we're going to head out to the range and see how it shoots. And I'll start this up-close shop review of the Girsan MC14 BDA the way it comes home from the store, which is in this case. It does come in a lockable hard plastic case, and when you open that up, you find the handgun itself. It comes with one magazine, so insert my normal rant here about only getting one magazine with this type of handgun, but it is a fairly common magazine. It uses the same magazines as the Browning BDA and also the Beretta Model 84s, so these are pretty common and you shouldn't have a hard time finding more. Along with that, you get a bicycle lock, because once again, so many firearms manufacturers are concerned about us getting our bicycles stolen, and I very much appreciate them including a bicycle lock. You get a cleaning brush and an owner's manual, and that is it for what comes along with the pistol. And here is our first up-close look at the MC14 BDA. By the way, from here on out, I'm just going to call this the Girsan BDA, because trying to say Girsan MC14 BDA over and over and over again is proving to be quite a challenge. Also, I want to say thanks to House of Pain Munitions for loaning me the Girsan BDA for this review. I saw this hanging on the wall when I was in there the other day, and they were gracious enough to let me bring it home for this video and to be able to try it out on the range. The MC14 BDA is a 380 ACP chambered handgun. It operates on a straight blowback system. It has a double action, single action trigger and a non-hammer dropping safety. And I'll talk about all these in a little bit more detail as we go on with this review. Turning the pistol around for a port side view, we can see that it is marked Girsan on the slide, also EAA, Cocoa, Florida, and made in Turkey on the frame. This is the black version of this firearm, which is a black/matte blue slide over a matte black finished alloy frame. There is also a two-tone version of this pistol that looks the same, except it has a light gray colored frame and the slide, barrel, and small parts are all still black. And we'll start the top-down look at the Girsan BDA with the sights, which use the classic 3 white dot system. Both the front and rear sight are dovetailed into the slide, so they are drift adjustable for windage, but there is no elevation adjustment. We can also see that there are rear slide cocking serrations, but there are no front cocking serrations. However, this contour at the front of the slide will allow for a press check, or will even allow you to, if you want to, chamber around that way. So even though there are no front serrations, you can manipulate the slide from the front if you wish to do so. Farther back, we can see the hammer, and this is a ring-style hammer with a grooved hammer spur, which is nice if you want to thumb cock the hammer. That gives you a little bit more traction for your thumb, and probably more important, since this is a non-hammer dropping safety, it gives you something a little bit more to hold on to if you are physically lowering the hammer to put the pistol in double action. Also, the safety that you can see here is ambidextrous, and it can be applied when the pistol is in both double action mode and single action mode. And again, as I said, this is not a hammer dropping safety. So if you chamber around and the hammer stays cocked and you want to put it into double action mode, you have to grasp the hammer, release the trigger, then take your finger completely off the trigger, because that will enable the internal firing pin block, and if the hammer would slip out of your grasp as you are lowering it, that will prevent the pistol from discharging. So there is an internal firing pin block that is contained in the mechanism of this pistol, and if you are physically lowering the hammer, again, take your finger completely off the trigger once you have started to lower the hammer, and if it slips out of your grasp, the pistol should not discharge. Once again, the Girsan BDA does have a double action, single action operating system, meaning that once a round is chambered, if you lower the hammer in that manner that I showed a moment ago, the first shot is fired double action, meaning when you squeeze the trigger, it both cocks the hammer and releases it. After the slide cycles on that first round, the hammer stays cocked, and after that, each shot fired is going to be in single action mode, so the only thing the trigger does is release the hammer. If you would want to decock it again, just like before, you would have to grasp the hammer, release the trigger, take your finger completely off the trigger, and ease the hammer forward. The Girsan BDA uses composite grips that you see here with a grooved surface. There is a recess on either side to be able to help you reach the magazine release. It is not a difficult reach. And the magazine release itself is reversible, so there are instructions in the owner's manual to explain how to reverse this to the other side if you would rather be able to actuate it with the thumb of your left hand. The back strap and the front strap of the Girsan BDA are grooved, as you see here. Not entirely sure that does a lot when it comes to improving your grip. Maybe if there's some torque that's applied to the pistol as the bullet travels down bore, it might help counteract that, but if nothing else, at least it looks nice. The magazine of the Girsan BDA is steel, as you see here. It does have some witness holes, but they are not numbered, so you can tell there's ammunition inside, but you really don't know how many cartridges there are if you see something inside of those witness holes. There is a finger extension on the very bottom of the magazine in order to help improve your grip and also help a little bit with muzzle flip, because that gives something that's going to bear against your little finger when you're grasping the pistol. The magazine well is not beveled, but I also don't see this as being the type of handgun that you're going to be doing very rapid magazine replacements with. So I don't think that's going to hurt too much. Plus, with the double column single feed magazine, it inserts very easily anyway. As I said in the opening, the slide and barrel of the MC14 BDA are steel with a matte blue finish, and the frame is forged aluminum, so it makes it lightweight but still a strong frame. And all in all, this pistol feels very good and very well balanced, so I do like the way it feels in my hand. Dimensionally, the Girsan BDA has an overall length of 6.8 inches, a barrel length of 3.8 inches, a width of 1.3 inches at its widest point, and a height of 4.9 inches. By the way, that width and height had to be converted from metric measurements, so those are approximations somewhat, but they are pretty close. The weight is 24 ounces, and if I didn't say it before, the magazine capacity is 13 plus 1 rounds of 380 ACP ammunition. As of spring of 2024, the black version of the Girsan MC14 BDA that you see here has an MSRP of $360, and the two-tone version has an MSRP of $381. And that's going to do it for the up-close shop review of the Girsan MC14 BDA. Now let's head out to the range and see how it performs. And here we are on the range with the Girsan MC14 BDA. In just a couple of minutes, I'm going to start to shoot it. By the way, I want to say a quick thanks to House of Pain for supplying the ammunition for today's test. First up is going to be their 95 grain full metal jacket ammunition. Then I'm also going to be shooting some of their jacketed hollow points. First off, I'm going to be conducting an accuracy test from a distance of 7 yards. I'll start out with this ammunition, and each time that I start the accuracy tests and also the defensive drills, I'm going to have a fully loaded magazine and 1 round into the chamber, so we'll be testing the functioning of this pistol at the same time that I'm testing the accuracy. So let me get set up, and then we'll start shooting. Certainly accurate enough from that distance of 7 yards for anything you could reasonably ask of this little pistol. Now I'm going to switch over and try it with the jacketed hollow points and see what the accuracy looks like with them. And this time around, I will be testing 5 rounds of House of Pain Munitions 90 grain jacketed hollow points. So let's see how they do. And again, very good accuracy from that distance of 7 yards with the Girsan MC14 BDA. Now let's move on to some defensive drills and see how it does with those. Next up, I'm going to be shooting some controlled pairs from a distance of 5 yards, and we'll see how this pistol does on those. All right, pulling most of those shots slightly off to the left a little bit. That's just me getting used to the pistol. No problem keeping them in center chest. And I know this first shot was pretty darn good, and the rest of these I just pulled off a little bit. Let's see what happens when we move on to some failure drills and find out how the Girsan MC14 BDA does on those. And a malfunction on that second failure drill. Let's see what happens on one more. Shot placement was better on the failure drills. I did have that one malfunction, which is a little odd. Now this is a brand new pistol, so this is the first time it's been fired. Could be a little bit of a break-in issue. This is with the full metal jacket ammunition, so I'm kind of surprised I got that malfunction, but I'll keep an eye on it. In fact, I'm going to change over to the jacketed hollow point ammunition again for the next test, and we'll see if we get any weird issues like that again shooting that ammo. No problem with those, and I can definitely feel there's a little bit more steam behind those JHPs. Okay, gang, one more full magazine plus one. This is once again loaded up with that 95 grain full metal jacket ammunition. I want to see if that one stoppage was an anomaly or if we can force it to happen again. All right, no problem the whole way through that time. And one more time, once again, full magazine plus one with that full metal jacket ammunition. And once again, no functioning problems. Okay, gang, final thoughts on the Browning MC14 BDA. First off, it's a pretty nice shooting pistol, as you saw. I have to take my time a little bit. It does have the shorter sight radius, and if I get in a hurry, I start to pull those shots a little bit off to the left. But if I take my time, they go right where I want them to go. So no problem there. In terms of the action, the double action pull is nice and smooth, and it's really not all that heavy. I should probably have weighed that when I was back at the shop, but all in all, that is really, really smooth. The single action pull is also pretty nice. So no real issues with the trigger whatsoever. As far as loading, no problem getting all the ammunition into the magazine that it's supposed to hold. No problem with manipulating the hammer when I'm lowering it to fire in double action and all that type of thing. So I wasn't really expecting any problems, but it's nice when I don't have any. By the way, one thing I should mention, when you disassemble this pistol, and maybe I'll just go ahead and demonstrate it right here at the end of the video, it disassembles much like a Beretta. You push the button, the little button on this side of the frame, which frees this takedown lever and allows, once you take the magazine out, allows the slide and recoil assembly to come forward off the frame. Now, when you take it off the frame, make sure you do just what I did there and hold on to the recoil spring and recoil spring guide with these fingers, because there's not a very deep groove in the bottom of the barrel here to retain that recoil system. And if you're not careful, it'll shoot out of there and fly across the room, and you'll spend a half an hour or so on your hands and knees crawling around trying to find the spring and the recoil spring guide. Don't ask me how I know that. Otherwise, the rest of the disassembly is very straightforward. Just simply push down. Again, hold on to it good and tight, because it's a fairly stiff spring. This is a straight blowback system, so it's got a stiff recoil spring on it, but it will come right out of there. The recoil spring guide comes out of the spring, and then you lift up on this rear portion of the barrel, and it comes out. When you put it back together, drop the barrel muzzle in first into the slide. Then, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this little groove right here that the recoil spring guide goes into, but when you put it in there, and I need to hold it up here so you can see what I'm doing. Again, hold on to that sucker because it will come out of there. And sometimes when you slide the slide back onto the frame, just like I have done here, okay, that time it worked just fine. But sometimes you'll put it back on there and that recoil spring guide is not located quite right, and it will not allow the slide to go all the way to the rear so you can flip the disassembly of the lever back up. If you have that happen, hold on to it just like I am here, and you can twist and manipulate that a little bit and it should snap back into place. Once it does, the slide will go all the way back. You can use the slide stop to lock it in place. Rotate that disassembly lever. Actually, I have to push the button again on the offside. Push the button, rotate that disassembly lever back up to where it goes, and for some reason it's not rotating. Stand by, we're experiencing technical issues. And it looks like I did not maybe get the recoil spring guide back where it goes. There we go. That time I just needed to manipulate that a little bit more, push the offside button, and the takedown lever flipped right back up into place. So disassembly, reassembly takes a little bit of getting used to. It's kind of an acquired taste. It's not hard, but just be mindful of that recoil assembly. Again, it is very, very easy, I'm telling you, to shoot it across the room. Another thing I noticed in shooting this pistol is the recoil impulse is pretty snappy. Now that's not uncommon for a 380 straight blowback pistol, and that's exactly what this is. So when you shoot it, you get a little bit more zip than you might expect for that little cartridge. Otherwise, everything worked the way it was supposed to. I did have that one malfunction, which was a failure to feed from the magazine into the chamber. It got 3/4 of the way into the chamber and stopped, and I think I'm just going to chalk that up to a break-in issue. Again, this is a brand new pistol, and as far as I know, this is the first time, other than maybe test firing at the factory, that it's ever been shot. So all in all, it's a nice little pistol. Definitely the price makes it very appealing when you're looking at well under $400 MSRP for one of these little handguns. It's aluminum alloy and steel, so there's no plastic in it to speak of, and all in all, it shoots pretty well. So Not a bad little handgun from EAA and Girsan. And that's going to do it for today's video, folks. As always, if you have any questions or comments, make sure you forward those to me. Remember, if you purchase anything from Optics Planet, be sure to use my discount code, which is... And if you use that discount code, it's good for 7% off your purchase from Optics Planet. Also, remember, House of Pain, either House of Pain Armament or House of Pain Munition, you can use my discount code there, which is HRFUNK, and save yourself some money from your purchase from House of Pain. And once again, thanks to House of Pain Armament and House of Pain Munitions for supplying both the Girsan MC14 BDA for this review, as well as the ammunition that I was using in today's video. And last but not least, don't forget the Target sponsor, folks. Go to Target's online, check out their inventory, and see if they have anything that's going to meet your Target needs. See you next time, and until then, good shooting. Bye-bye.